Hi, cat. Come and get some mango, baby.
One, two, 1, 2, 3. Self-awareness is a superpower. My name is KathyLaDonna. Welcome to Soul and Vibration. I hope the free thinkers are doing well. And if you're not doing well, I'm happy to remind you that you are the most powerful person that you know. You are the most powerful person that you know because only you can create your reality. Hey guys, today is Sunday, January 26th, and the energies in the day adds up or reduced to number 9 vibration. If today is your birthday, happy birthday. The spirit guidance, wow, I just knocked over all the cards in my lap, but that's okay. The spirit guidance for today is the gazelle energy. And the gazelle energy came out in the reversal position. In the upright position, the gazelle brings me to being still and just trusting. Being still, being alert, being aware, and just trusting. In the reversal position, though, it brings me to, okay, so in the reversal position, what the gazelle brings me to, I think about how sometimes too much information is not good for certain people, in the sense that, and I guess maybe all of us could at one point find ourselves in this space. And when I say too much information, not good for some people, in the sense that we have information coming at us like at every single angle, at all different kind of angles. And when it comes to the information you're consuming, you have to ask yourself, why am I consuming this information, especially when the information is negative? It could be true, but it's negative, meaning it makes you feel in a negative way. And for me, when it comes to information, I love to ask myself, okay, why am I consuming this? And what am I gonna do with this? An example of that, I think of, like, say, not long after the lockdowns happened, there were a bunch of videos going around on WhatsApp mainly, and the videos were of farmers talking about how they're being forced to destroy crops and things like that, and talking about possible food shortages and things coming up in the future. So say a person sitting down and consuming all of that, and from sitting down and consuming all of that, they stop and they think to themselves, okay, could there be some truth to this? And they feel like, yes, I feel like there is truth to this. So then they go and they stack up in whatever way they see fit based on the information. And once they go and stack up whatever they see fit, they let it go and go on with their lives. Where I feel like then there are some people who will consume the information and stop living. Will consume the information and stop living. And you don't want to be one of those people that are consuming information to the point that you stop living. And that's something that I had to reflect on within myself, because there was a point when, like, so much information was coming at me, different kind of information, and all of it made me feel awful, so awful to the point that life felt like, what is the point? Like, it's all doom and gloom anyways. What is the point? The information that made me feel like maybe all this, like maybe we won't even be here in a week, in a month, in a few years or so. So what's the point of planning a future? And when I think about the different information that's presented to me and where it's coming from, I like to ask myself, what are they trying to make me feel when it comes to the information that's being presented to me? What do they want me to feel? What kind of emotions are they trying to evoke in me from this information? And if they were to be successful with invoking these emotions within me, or maybe even go as far as planting seeds within my mind, because I feel like just about everything we consume plants or confirm seeds within our mind, plant, confirm, or destroy seeds within our mind. So it's like I ask myself, what are they doing? What's the intention? What was the intention for sharing this with me? And how did they benefit from me buying into this? Or how does it affect me if I buy into this? It's like we have to be conscious and aware of our energy and how things make us feel. Like if you want to know, how something's affecting you, pay attention to how it's making you feel. Just from how it makes you feel alone is clear about the seeds that it's either planting in your mind, nurturing certain seeds in your mind, or disrupting certain seeds in your mind. And I think it's great when we come across content that forces us to think and ask questions and disrupt certain seeds in our mind that shouldn't be there in the first place, because these seeds aren't bearing any fruit. They're only growing a bunch of weeds and taking up space. And also too, I personally believe that you want to challenge yourself to be open to consuming different kind of information that challenges your views. Of course, I would disagree with this in the beginning of my spiritual journey, meaning, say in the beginning of my spiritual journey, when my intuition was guiding me one way, but the practical, repetitive side of my mind was pulling me to what was familiar. Of course, then yes, certain content I would need to avoid because my heart is pulling me one way, and it's only familiarity and fear is pulling me back to what I know, to pulling me back to what I'm used to. So then I would ignore and avoid certain contents and people who are pulling me back to a space where I feel suffocated, where I don't feel like I'm growing. And I would avoid certain things until I became confident within myself, confident within my truth, so confident to the point that when having conversations with people, I no longer needed to convince them about my beliefs or my views when it comes to spirituality, astrology, occult, divination, none of that. Where in the beginning, I would get into conversations and some of them would even turn into like debate type of thing where I'm trying to convince them of what it is that I believe or what it is that I'm into, because clearly I was seeking something from them. So if ever you find yourself getting in conversations with people and it turns confrontational and you find yourself trying to awaken them, enlighten them, or teach them, question that, because more than likely that might be what you're telling yourself, but really you're looking for company or validation because you don't trust yourself and where you are in your journey and where you are in your experience, and possibly looking for permission to feel how you feel, see things the way you see things. And that's something that I had to recognize within myself, where I would get into these energetic verbal tussles with people about certain things because I wanted to convince them that I'm not a bad person for being into astrology, for being into numerology, for being into tarot. I'm not a bad person for not calling myself, for not claiming certain titles and things like that. And it's like once I became confident and comfortable within myself, where I am like, I don't even entertain those conversations. Like I've actually even gotten to a point now that I love so much. And I guess maturity, time, experience would get you there. Get to a point where it's like, say someone comes at you with something or I had a situation where someone came at me with something and I thought to respond, and I felt how much energy it was conjuring up inside of me to respond. And instead I opted out of responding. Like instead saying to the person, I think it'll be best for you to continue believing what you believe about me when it comes to that, because I was getting ready to respond and the amount of energy I felt getting conjured up to respond to you about this is just not worth it. It's just not that important it's just not that important for me to get you to see things the way I see it. It's just not that important. So I'm not going to respond. I'm not going to engage, because my energy just shouldn't be spent that way. It's like when you could get to the point where You don't see the need to waste your time to convince someone of anything. Genuinely. It feels so good, because a lot of the times certain people will come at you and they're not trying to be informed. They're not trying to understand. And it's important to know the difference. Know the difference between someone trying to be informed, someone trying to understand, and someone who's literally just trolling in real life, or maybe trolling on the internet. Either way. But yeah, it's like, it felt good to recognize, like, I felt it in my heart as I'm thinking of a response. And then instead, I think me feeling it in my heart, because a lot of times it's interesting how the body is so psychic, and the body can tell you're about to get into a tussle before you even get into the tussle. It's amazing how psychic the body is. And I could feel certain emotions in me that felt so familiar. And I'm like, nope, stop right there. Shut it down. I don't even need to, nope, shut it down. Shut it down. I won't give it no energy. I will not feed it. Feed it nothing. Let's pause for a bit. I am proud of the services that I offer and excited to tell you about them. If it would be your first time booking with me, then I recommend the natal chart and numerology awareness coaching session. For a while, that was the only service I offered, along with the 30-minute tarot reading, which is still available if you're interested. I noticed a pattern. At the end of the natal chart and numerology coaching sessions, some of you would ask me for a follow-up service options for additional clarity and guidance to assist you with whatever you're going through at the moment. I kept saying, I'll look into it. I don't know why it took me so long. Finally, I have created that option, along with the service option to book a solar return chart reading for those of you who are strategic and like to plan ahead. Everything you need to know is within the description box below. Let's get back into the video. So yeah, when it comes to today's energy brings me to the importance of information, how you inform yourself, how you inform others, and what you do with the information that is coming your way. Like, are you allowing the information to make you paranoid to the point that you stop living? And then you're looking for other people to join you when it comes to this paranoia about this thing or the next. Because like I said, for me, with past experiences, when I would buy into certain beliefs, it would literally make me feel like, what's the point of doing anything? What's the point of creating, building and creating certain experiences if there won't be a future in the future? And when I think about the powers that have the ability to, influence the algorithm and push certain information our way, it's like, what do they get to benefit if, a person buys into what it is that they're selling and decides to stop living? Like, how do they benefit? Like, that's a big question to ask yourself when you're consuming movies, content, songs, whatever. It's like, the person who created it, what kind of energy were they in, and what are they trying to show you? What are they trying to make you feel? How are they trying to influence you with this thing that you're consuming? And how does it benefit you to be influenced in that way? That's a question to ask yourself today. Because I feel like when we're truthful with ourselves, when it comes to that, then we could let certain things go. Because today's energy has a lot to do with releasing and letting some things go. Some things come to an end. And in order for those things to come to an end, sometimes it takes us taking a stop and taking a step back and reflecting on the value that a thing brings into your life. Some things bring no value into your life, and like junk food, when you consume them and pass them out, they're not just coming out the way they went in, but they're also taking nutrients with them, in return making you nutritionally deficient. So, same with information, like junk food. We consume the junk, and the junk takes away way much from us than what it puts into us. And when it comes to today's energy, you might mess around and reflect on something and ask yourself, how does this thing add value to my life? And when I look at the value that it adds and what it's taking away from me, You know, just from comparing the value that it has, the value that this relationship adds, the value this friendship adds, the value this career path adds, and what it's taking, you know, what the relationship is taking, what the career is taking. When you weigh out what something is giving and taking and be honest about what it's given and taking, and the minute you even start speaking about what it's given and taken, you can tell because you're going to feel it here. You know what I mean? Whether you're writing down, okay, this relationship, and you'll write the person's name on the paper. And I bet you the minute you write the person's name on the paper, in you, it's going to invoke the kind of, like, if it's giving or taking, you're going to feel it. And that goes the same for anything else. And when it comes to today's energy, we have the King of Wands in the upright position. And with the King of Wands energy in the upright position, this king brings me to the importance of courage, the importance of taking action. And I feel like when it comes to this energy, having the courage to move on, having the courage to move on, having the courage to move forward, having the courage to walk away is what I'm getting with this energy. So the moon is in Capricorn today. With the moon in Capricorn, the moon is our inner world. And when it comes to the moon there in Capricorn, we're nurtured at the thought of success. We're nurtured at the thought of super saving all them hoes. I'm just joking. We're nurtured at the thought of being that person that is responsible for, being responsible for your family, being responsible at work. It's like, it's that energy where it's like, you want to save the day type of vibe. And the moon is being squared by, North Node in Pisces, along with Neptune and Venus in Pisces, Saturn in Pisces. So there's a square being made to the moon. And I feel like the square being made to the moon today is one of those days for some of us, we'll be reflecting on certain things. And with the moon in Capricorn, along with Mercury still there, it's a matter of, say, a person reflecting on the thought of a traditional path and then feeling challenged when it comes to, say, a non-traditional path. And with North Node, Neptune, Saturn, Venus, and Pisces, I think of the person who is an accountant, but at the same time, they also is very creative and they want to pursue a creative path, but having a hard time accepting the creative path, because with the moon in Capricorn today, they feel more nurtured by the path that society celebrates, the path that society deems to be more respectable. So they feel this clash, this pull, as there's a part of them, especially with Mercury getting ready to go into Aquarius, but at 27 degrees in Capricorn conjunct Pluto, and then Pluto conjunct the sun in Aquarius, the mind is entertaining the possibilities of going in a path that is non-traditional. But the moon, the inner world, just have a hard time like seeing it through. So today is one of those days where it's so easy for us to get caught and pulled in paranoia. So this brings me to what I was saying earlier about, you come across certain content, and these content could really do a number on you and make you feel like, what's the point in life where, maybe war is going to happen or natural disaster, all these different things are happening in the world. And it's like, we've come to those times. So because we're at the end times, what's the point? You know what I mean? And it's like, there's a part of us that still though want to create experiences for ourselves. As, another part of us is like, but I should probably stick to the safer ways of doing things, because the safer way of doing things have always proven to work. Yes, may have worked back then, but there's, you don't know for sure if it's going to work now. So yeah, when it comes to today's energy, very, very, very important to be conscious of the distractions. So when it comes to today's energy, definitely something to release, something to let go of. Saturn semi-squares Pluto. Saturn semi-squares Pluto. So with Saturn creating a semi-square to Pluto, challenges also, I guess, around when it comes to our friend group and how our friend groups and the people we associate ourselves with, how those can challenge our dreams. I think of, you know, being a part of certain groups and circles and you wanting to pursue a certain path and they not, you know, being supportive of that. But it brings me to what I was saying earlier about getting to the point where you don't need to convince anyone of anything. I guess that whole conversation ties into that Saturn semi-square, where it's like when we're clear on ourselves and what it is that we need, then we don't need to convince others of anything. And I don't know if I fully said all that I needed to say when I went on that rant, but I was saying for me, I think it's beneficial to consume different kind of content that challenges my beliefs, because I feel like it keeps you fresh. You never want to get to a point where you only consume things that confirm and validate your, but like once you get to a point where you're clear about your core beliefs, once you get to a point where you're clear and confident about your core beliefs, but even when you're clear and confident about your core beliefs, you're open to more information, because if you're truly confident about something, then you're open to change if change is necessary. Like when it comes to my beliefs, like I'm always open to changing it if it's outgrown, it's outdated, or it just doesn't work for me in any way. And what I wanted to say when I went on that rant and, you know, went off somewhere else, I think it's beneficial for us to be open to other to other information. Like say, for example, with me, I might feel like I agree with A, but at the same time, I will sit and entertain content from B just to like see their point of view and understand like how they could get to that way of thinking. And there are some things that I will never agree with and makes no damn sense to me, but I'm, you know, at least I was open to hear their view. I was open to hear their view, and I was open. I heard the view reflect on my view when it comes to that thing, and that view doesn't add any value to my view, and it doesn't benefit in any way, but I was still open to it and not just only want to consume something that, because when we only consume information or content that validates one way of thinking, then to me, we're not allowing ourselves to be sharp. We're not allowing ourselves to be sharp, because I personally feel like it's good to be aware of different possibilities of different things that are going on. Be aware of different mindsets that's happening, even if you don't subscribe to that way of thinking. It's like, okay, I don't subscribe to that way of thinking, but now I understand what brought them to that perspective. Okay, I get it. I could see that. Okay, you know, I just think it's beneficial to strengthen our mind in that way and not just be so, because I think of like, say with Sun, Pluto energy and Aquarius, and how Aquarian energy is that fixed air. And when I think about fixed air, I think about fixed way of thinking. And we don't, yes, when it comes to certain things, but I'm not going to repeat myself again. When it comes to our beliefs, if we are confident within ourselves, then we're open to, you know, shifting a belief if it no longer works. But at the same time, if we're confident within ourselves, then we're not intimidated by other people's beliefs and perspectives. And I just think it's good to be open and aware. It's good to be open and aware. I think of, say, a person who is, you know, you're in a space and all different kind of things are going on. And instead a person creates this wall and blocks themselves from everything that's going on. Like that could be dangerous to isolate oneself. Instead, it's good to be aware. I guess to be aware of everything that's going on is what I'm saying. Because when I look at the gazelle energy and the reversal position, it would bring me to the person who becomes fearful and then isolate themselves and only consume a certain kind of information, only think a certain kind of way. But then in the upright position, you know, it brings me to being alert. It's like, yes, it knows that it is prey. It is alert, it is aware, but it doesn't stop living. And that brings me to like the asking question things brings me to, I remember on Patreon within the chat, I had shared this Mandela Effect, this video about Mandela effects. And it was the video was talking about certain things in the past and how they were one way, but then today they're claiming for it to be another way. When it comes to the Mandela effect, I personally think that maybe half of it or a lot of what we consider to be Mandela effects are a result of marketing and branding, meaning maybe the company, like say Febreze is one of the things that I saw in the Mandela Effect video. Febreze and the Energizer Bunny was also one of them. And in the past, the bunny had the battery in its back. And now they're trying to say that the battery always been in the bunny side. Or I think Febreze, something about 2 E's, 1 E's. And in that case, you know, when I thought about it, I came to the realization, I feel like that's the result of marketing and branding, in the sense that the company was sold and then whoever purchased the company tried to do the branding very similar to the old one, so the customers don't really notice a shift in ownership. So it's like, you know, you can't go with the same logo, but you switch it up just a little bit so it's still different. So in some cases, I feel like a lot of cases it comes down to branding, but then there are other situations that can't be explained. Like my friend shared a Shaggy video with me, the Shaggy song, It Wasn't Me. And she's saying she remembers it being different. And when I watched the one she shared, I do remember it being different, but then I don't know if and I think it's interesting that we both remember it, you know, being a little bit different, remembering a certain scene in it and not remembering the house being so big and things like that. So maybe there are some things that there is legit like changes that are happening, but then there are some things that are just, you know, there are reasons for it. So I feel like even though I'm big when it comes to conspiracy thinking and things like that, because for me, a thing is only a conspiracy until like for a certain amount of time, until they could no longer suppress the truth in a thing. But I'm big for diving down the rabbit hole, but then there's also another side of me that feels like it's healthy to question everything, you know, question myself and question things. So even with the whole Mandela Effect thing, you know, I sat and I thought about it and I'm like, marketing and branding, that's the reason for a lot of the things, like, you know, even the Dalmatian, you know, you think of the Dalmatian where now they're saying the coat was all white and before it was black and white. You know, I feel like it goes back to branding and marketing, but then there are certain things that I just can't explain. And I love that about reality. I love that there are things that can't be explained because it shows that there is a lot going on. There's a lot going on, but I think it's good to, you know, it's good to question your beliefs is all I'm saying. It's good to question your beliefs because a lot of the beliefs we have, or probably majority of our beliefs, originally didn't come from us. And it's as we mature, we're unlearning and learning new things. And you just want to keep yourself fresh by constantly asking questioning yourself and, you know, checking on certain hardcore beliefs that you have and seeing if they're outdated. I feel like, you know, that's all a part of growing, and opposed to staying stagnant. But it was a pleasure sharing this message with you. Before you go anywhere, please let me know you're here with me by dropping me a brown heart in the comment box below. I look forward to seeing you tomorrow. Love yourself as if your life depended on it, because it does. Take care of yourself, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video.